That was Farrakho with Peppers here on Z90.7 WZIS. And we're back again. It's another Monday. You know what time it is. It's 6 o'clock on the dot. And you know what time it is for us. Christian Hill here. With me, I got my main man,
Joseph Moore.
And we're definitely going to be talking about it today. It's Sports Extra. We got a lot to talk about, actually. It was a lot going on this weekend, homecoming weekend. So, definitely some exciting things to see. Also, the start of the NBA season kicked off last week with the first few games. So, we'll talk about that as well. Got some NFL action because there was a lot going on down there as well. And the MLB is coming to a close. And so, I think that's where we're going to start today, Joe, with the MLB. The Braves.
Yep.
And Astros.
Okay.
The World Series. How you feeling? What are your thoughts on that?
Hey, I haven't watched much baseball, but my father's a huge Astros fan, and he was.
I don't like that.
I heard him screaming. I've heard him trying to rant to me about some words that I didn't understand, and I'm not sure what's going on, but whatever is going on is crazy.
No, it definitely is, and so. Definitely interesting to see on that front of, me and Zach talked about it last week, especially with the idea of having the Astros and the Braves. I wanted to see the Braves in the World Series. I think they deserve it, especially with some of the injuries they've dealt with, Giorgio Soler, Acuna Jr. But the Astros, the 2017 championship team, they got caught cheating.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Big scandal. And so now they have a chance at redemption. And for me, I think that's the biggest thing. I think the Braves win this World Series.
Mm-hmm.
But if the Astros manage to pull it off somehow, they now have a valid case on their hands of they have one cheating scandal, but they also have a valid championship.
Yeah, I would feel like that would balance it out a lot. For you specifically, just probing your mind a little bit, what do you think is the biggest thing going for the Astros right now? In this series,
Astros, it's definitely been the hitting. Their offense has been red hot, and that's the reason they made it to the postseason and even made it to the World Series. Was their offense has been surging. They had some great series. Like looking at it, they beat the Red Sox 5-0 to win the series, and so they were struck. I mean, they were surging super consistently this whole time, and it's been crazy to see for them. And so now seeing game 1, which is tomorrow night at 8, and then game 2 is going to be Wednesday, that following day. I think the Braves have to have the combination of pitching and hitting to put the Astros away, and I think they have it. I think it comes down to consistency for the Braves. Same thing with the Astros, though. I think the Astros, they have the high-powered offense. They're going to have some pitching struggles, but it comes down to the consistency for both teams. And I think I have the Braves. I have it going to 7 games, but I have the Braves winning in 7. And so that's my thoughts on this MLB action. We'll talk about it more next week as we hope to see that conclusion of the World Series, and then we can kind of talk about it, get into some early postseason talks, probably some moves, some trades,
of course,
and talk about it there. But ISU football, homecoming week was Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
And we won.
Hey, you sound surprised. I wasn't that surprised.
I was surprised.
Why were you surprised, Chris?
Because, honestly, Youngstown State, like we played Western Illinois, they were a team that high-powered offense, put up a lot of points. Their play wasn't very good defensively, but we struggled to put up points.
Yeah.
And the fact that we put up 28 was impressive.
I wasn't that surprised. It's funny that you bring up the Western Illinois game because for me, it was a very similar matchup for the Indiana State Sycamores with a mixture of high-powered offense. Jaleel McLaughlin, he was going crazy. He was the running back for Youngstown State. He was going crazy pretty much that entire first half. He was just slipping through the seams of the defense. And this Sycamores front line is one of the best in Missouri Valley Conference, headlined by Inoke Moala. And he was just slipping through the seams. He's like a very he's probably the smallest person on the field on any given time, but his mixture of size and speed just absolutely torches defenses. And even a good defense like Indiana State didn't really have much of a shot stopping him, especially when he was going crazy in the first half. And then that's what it was for high-powered offense, kind of like Western Illinois, who had the crazy wide receiver duo. And then defensively, Youngstown State isn't known to put up much of a chance because Youngstown State would give up close to 40 points going into the Indiana State matchup. So that was a pretty comparable game.
No, I definitely agree with you there. Kind of looking at some of the stats. I mean, through the first half at least, the game was pretty even, 14-14 going into halftime. Third quarter, we come out not really, we don't really get punched in the nose. Only lose, give up 3 points, and then somehow we find this surge of offense in the fourth quarter to put up 14, which I think is our highest scoring total in the fourth quarter this season.
That sounds about right.
14 points in the fourth quarter to come out with that 28-17 victory. And so we now move to 4-4 on the season, 2-3 in the conference, and we face probably the best team in our conference next week at North Dakota State. I'm not gonna share a lot to you. This is a game. North Dakota State is a game I don't think we're gonna win.
Listen. You know what? It's kind of like a rabbit in a corner. You feel me? Yeah, they're gonna fight. For Indiana State, it's important for them to almost win out for the rest of the season.
It is important for them. They have to.
Yeah, they have to win out the rest of the season for them to have hopes to go into the playoffs. So, it wouldn't surprise me, especially how well Anthony Thompson played. Statistically, his stats don't pop out on the stat sheet, but from the eye test, he was running, he was throwing really good passes. He was just a really good overall. This is the best overall performance I've seen from Anthony Thompson. I would say the best performance, from like just a throwing standpoint would probably be Western Illinois, where he just threw like lights out, just played the best offense against a bad defense. So, I have to give my flowers to Anthony Thompson here. And I just, I wouldn't be surprised, but I would be very surprised at the same time if they pull out a win. But hey, backed into a corner, pressure busts pipes or makes diamonds.
Right. No, I definitely agree with you there. I mean, looking at some of the team statistics, kind of checking it out, the game was very. They were almost mirror images of each other. Like Youngstown State had 401 total yards to Indiana State's 402. Passing yards 175 Youngstown State to 174 Indiana State. Rushing yards Indiana State 228 to Youngstown State's 226.
Yeah.
Like they almost played mirror images of each other.
Yeah.
And somehow we put it out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was just a really good game. Just down the stretch, it looked like. For one, they didn't really start him, but he played 90% of the game. Joe Craycraft. He isn't really the quarterback number one. Crenshaw is Demetrius Crenshaw, and then they took him out really early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't necessarily playing bad because he only threw the ball 3 times to that point and ran a little bit. But he just got took out really early. I kind of suspect some type of injury that might have been nagging throughout the week, and then they just chose not to play him just because Joe Craycraft did not have a good game. He threw 4 interceptions in this game. So again, I don't really know what happened, but I would say if they threw Demetrius Crenshaw, it would have been a closer contest. But luckily for Indiana State, they put Joe Craycraft out there, and he ended up throwing up a fat dud.
For sure. And so looking at it there, the last kind of ending off of their schedule, they have 3 games left. Like you said, they play number 2 North Dakota State next week. Then we have a little bit of a break. We don't play anybody for a week. And then we come back to play Southern Illinois at home. And we finish out with Illinois State on the road. And so Indiana State definitely does have to win out, but I think they're playing their toughest opponent so far.
Yeah, for sure. Especially on a week-to-week basis right there.
And so, honestly, I can see Indiana State, they can shape out in a few ways. I think they could go 1-3. They could go 2-3. They could go 0-3.
I would honestly.
I don't think they're gonna win all 3 games. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I don't blame you at all. Wishful thinking. We gotta represent. You have to have some type of spirit. You feel me? I just think that for Indiana State, if they end up even or even close to the 500 at the end of the season, I would say that's a pretty solid win. Again, not playing in 2 years, coming back, having a pretty tough schedule at the end of the road, and then having to figure stuff out with the quarterback situation in the beginning. End up record at the end of the season would be perfect for this Indiana team. Definitely would chalk that up to a win on the season.
Right, and the thing about it is, our team, we play good. We play good at home. So at home we're 3-1.
Yeah.
Away we're 1-3. And so I think it's about us finding ways to win on the road. I think we only have 1 road win, which was against Eastern Kentucky, where we came back.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a lot of solid work, a lot of solid improvement for Indiana State going forward. And so for the football team, there's not much more than I can say. It's just continue to grind, see how many games you can get out and win. try and execute as much as you can, try to put up points, and go from there.
Yeah, it feels like they have like a pretty good energy around them, especially after this game. It could just be homecoming at in Memorial Stadium, but it just feels like even after they were up, after it was clear that Indiana State was going to win the game Saturday, that they kept on fighting through the play. They kept on keeping their feet chopping after contact. Peterson Curlegrand is kind of that like energy guy, kind of that spark plug for even the people on the sideline, the people who don't really get minutes. You can just feel the energy just rise up after he makes a big play, and then he just immediately after gets another big play because he just goes off of that energy. And that type of energy is just going to be really important for Indiana State for the rest of the season.
No, I definitely can agree with you there. Moving on to some other Indiana State news. They just released this on the basketball team. We are projected, for the men, projected to finish ninth in the MVC preseason poll. Tyreek Key, a returning guard, he's going to be a fifth-year senior. He was named preseason first team All-Missouri Valley Conference. And so for Indiana State, we have a new head coach in Josh Schwartz after his 13-year run at Lincoln Memorial University. And so now it's going to be interesting to see, looking at like where the MVC voting has placed us. We have Drake as the number 1 team, Loyola Chicago at 2, University of Northern Iowa at 3, Missouri State at 4, Southern Illinois at 5, Bradley at 6, Valparaiso at 7, Evansville at 8, us at 9, and then Illinois State at 10.
Yeah, this team, I would say, after going to Sycamore Showcase, they definitely look raw. And for them to have a really successful season, it's just obviously going to be half the headline by Tyreek Key, again, the fifth-year senior, who just can put up points, who's just a veteran presence in that locker room with a lot of young guys there, a lot of freshmen. After Indiana State lost Jake LaBeria to Wake Forest and, other players who were playing fairly well for Indiana State last year. So it's just going to be important that, that veteran leadership and, experience from Tyreek Key just kind of diffuses across the locker room for Indiana State to have a very successful season, especially with a new head coach.
Right. And we have 3 players coming from Lincoln Memorial, our new head coach's old school, Xavier Bledson, who is a 6'6" guard. He is a redshirt sophomore. We have a redshirt freshman in Simon Wilbar, and then Cameron Henry, another 6'6" guard from Lincoln Memorial. So he brought over a few. There's a few returners I see. Julian Larry. We have Cooper Neese. Obviously, the big headliner Tyreek Key. And then Claxton Steffens. He is back. He didn't play much last year. Was injured. But definitely will be a key piece of the offense and defense going into this year. And then looking on the women's side of things with the women's department for basketball this year, they are also expected to finish ninth in the conference. They have definitely had a up and down, I would say, roster and up and down season, especially under our old head coach. And so they have a lot of returning players. Maya Glanton is back, Summer Pitzer, Essie Latu, Marie Hunter, Adriana Foltz, Natalia Lalick, Hattie Westerfield, Kaylin Anderson, and Dejanay Williams. So with the women, we have a lot more returning players, not as many new players coming in. We have a few, but not as many. And so with the women, I think theirs is all about figuring out what their head coach wants and executing that on the court. Because honestly, kind of replaying in the back of my head, watching the women last year, they weren't the best. But when they executed and they were able to get, a flow and an offense and figure out things on the court, they didn't look half bad.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. For me, it's more about building kind of a culture. Having a new coach, having a couple of players that are from international places like Australia and Quebec. There's going to be a couple of not only basketball things, but cultural things that they're going to have to overcome. And building that, just overall team, just influence culture together is probably the most foundational thing that they can do right now to make sure that they have a successful season. Basketball things aside, that's really important. You have to trust the girls next to you.
No, I definitely agree with you there. And so basketball season will kick off next week.
Oh,
the
yes.
men have the first game that will be here at the Holman Center on November 4th. Am I correct, Joe? That's a Thursday?
Sir.
November 4th. Me and Joe will be on the call, so stay forward to hearing that game from us here at the station WZIS 90.7. And so let's get into that NBA news. NBA kicked off. And man, let's start it off like this.
Okay.
The Nets and the Bucks, first game out.
Yeah.
The Nets look really bad.
Listen, the Nets look terrible, and there's just so much drama around the Nets right now. It's one. Let's start from a basketball perspective. The Nets are struggling to guard parked cars at this point. It just feels like their defense it improved from last year, but last year defense was still bad, so they still have a bad defense.
Right.
And then, James Harden has not looked good, starting the season off. I'm not sure what's happening. It might just be like getting back into the groove of things.
Mm-hmm.
Again, having to deal with that Kyrie situation. It just doesn't feel like he's really in tune with this roster as much as it can be.
Yeah.
But, positive, especially from that first game, Patty Mills is a hooper.
I agree with that.
He just looking like he was during the Olympic
Spurs
games.
day, even the Spurs day.
Yeah, Spurs days too. He's just hooping. He was hitting threes. I believe he hit like 3 or 4 threes in the first half. He was going crazy. And then looking at the Bucks perspective, Bucks are just still the Bucks. They're still doing their thing. They still look like a contender this year.
They have they still have the same pieces. Obviously DiVincenzo's still on the way back from injury, but they have all the pieces to possibly be another NBA champion, like have two-peat.
Completely, especially, again, if the Nets continue to struggle, 76ers are probably not going to make too much noise until the Ben Simmons trade happens.
Yeah.
Even
though Steph Curry had an amazing game the other day.
But Steph Curry ain't going to do nothing.
Yeah, Steph Curry ain't going to carry the team.
Yeah. So, he's a hooper. I'll have him in fantasy, but, playoffs, I'm not sure if I can trust a combination of Steph Curry and
Joel
Embiid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely hope. I see what the 76ers were doing too. They kind of called out Ben Simmons' bluff there, because they were kind of like, hey, we're gonna let him go. No, we're gonna keep him. We're not gonna let you go just for a bag of chips.
Right.
We're just gonna keep you here because we know you want your money. They were right.
But Ben Simmons is playing it correctly. Because I'm a player first type of guy.
I understand.
And so. He probably did fake that injury.
He 100%
he probably definitely faked that injury. So, one, let me get out of paying all these fines. Two, if I got an injury, they can't really force me to play. And so, I think it's a tug of war between the two.
For
and
sure.
one side is gonna have to give sooner than the other one.
Yeah, and
And honestly, I just feel like it needs to be like, if you're the 76ers organization, you just let them. You take what you can get and you let them go. Like. If the Warriors are offering you some draft picks and some young talent, you take that.
Yeah.
If other teams are offering you a substantial amount of money and some of their core pieces, you take at this point you have to take what you're going to get, because it doesn't look like it's going to get any better in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's kind of tough. I believe this is so entertaining from just a casual perspective.
Yeah, from a fan perspective, this is actually really good.
It's just like I wake up and then I just see a Woj tweet and I'm just like, oh, what's happening in the Ben Simmons saga now? But I will say, I feel like the best deal right now for the 76ers already kind of left the table with Malcolm Brogdon signing that extension for Indiana. Now he can't be traded this season. So, I feel like that was your best package, Malcolm Brogdon, maybe a TJ Warren, maybe even like a Carousel Vert. They're generous. For Ben Simmons would probably be the best package for Ben Simmons, but that's off the table. Now it's just kind of a waiting game. Just see what happens next.
No, I definitely agree with you there. Moving on, the undefeated teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
We got the Chicago Bulls, the Charlotte Hornets.
You're a Bulls fan, right?
I'm not a Bulls fan, but I like to see this team play.
Okay.
And then we got the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, all three of them. These three are interesting for very unique reasons.
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
One, the Bulls, completely new roster.
Just scrapped a lot.
Yeah, and Caruso playing off, again, Caruso, bald eagle, everything.
Same.
And then we got, DeMar DeRozan. He has a new energy about him.
He's playing like, I'm not gonna say he's playing like all-star DeMar DeRozan, but he's playing a very veteran but also still prominent role on that team.
He's a hooper.
He is a hooper. I
He's a
agree with
hooper, and I feel like he was getting disrespected a lot ever since the trade for Kawhi, and then it's not really his fault that he got traded to San Antonio, which wasn't really a contender. Then Kawhi comes into town, gets a championship and just dips, and then his kind of public opinion just plummets.
Yeah.
Even though he did his thing during the Spurs, it didn't really matter because he wasn't on a contender.
Right. It was a struggle fest. It was a struggle bus.
I would agree. Yeah, it was definitely a struggle fest. And then you look at the Hornets. The Hornets, honestly, LaMelo and Anthony Edwards, the real deal.
Yeah.
Both of them just the real deal.
And the thing is, Miles Bridges has come on as probably one of the better players on the team.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, if we honestly rank the Charlotte Hornets on like players on their team, I would honestly have to say LaMelo Ball is probably the best player.
Of course.
Not even just off of skill set, but like potential wise and everything that he's shown so far, and even in his second year, he's probably the best player on the team. Then I'll probably give it to Scary Terry Rozier.
Yeah.
And then Miles Bridges is definitely that third. Him and Gordon Hayward, in my opinion, are like right there for that third and the fourth spot.
Even Gordon Hayward, he's had like a couple of games. I believe he almost scored 30 one of the games, and he's been playing pretty well as well. Just in general, this Hornets team, what's going to come down to it is they can have like kind of like a Memphis Grizzlies type season like they did, like Memphis Grizzlies had last year, where they're just kind of a young team that went out in the play-in and then just go ahead and find themselves in the A seed.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that happening. For them, it's just defense. Like again, they don't really have a center. They have Mason Plumlee, who's a good offensive center. He can pass. He can, he can have like a couple of nice dunks here and there. But he ain't really doing nothing.
He's not stopping Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, exactly, and especially with the East, who have like just a lot of really dominant big men. I remember when I was watching the Pacers, which we'll get to in a moment, where he, Domas was just bodying him, just one, hip move, and then he just dunked. It was just easy.
Yeah.
And then I know you are very fond of this Warriors team. Tell me about the Warriors, man.
I am very fond of the Warriors team, man. Steph Curry hasn't been playing good. Like, he hasn't been playing great.
Yes, he has.
The first game against the Lakers, he got a triple-double, but he played bad. If you watch that game, he didn't play good.
He didn't, no.
Then second game, he came out, played a little bit better. Then third game, he came back to being Steph Curry, man.
He went nuclear. I was watching, I'm not sure what I was watching. I might have been playing 2K in the living room, and then I just hear my roommate come just like, Joe! And then he just, forced me into his room and then watched the, Steph Curry just absolutely go crazy in the first quarter. Again, like scoring, I believe, 8, 9 field goals, 100% from the field, hit 2 or 3 threes. Just Steph Curry is 100% the greatest show in basketball right now.
Steph Curry is, I mean, at this point, like, I ain't gonna say a lot to you. I know it's early in the season. I know we only 3 games in.
Oh, you gonna say something crazy.
But he's my MVP favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I went there. I said it.
I knew you were.
I said it.
I knew you were going to say something crazy.
31 points a game, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals.
Here's why you're wrong, Christian, and here's why I'm right. Steph Curry is really good, but I feel like Steph Curry is the ultimate example of why to win MVP, to actually be like the borderline like top player on the team, you have, player to win a like championship all alone, just completely carry, you have to be a bigger wing who can play defense. Defense is the most important thing because like Steph Curry's had like a bunch of crazy offensive performances. Clippers is an example.
Right.
Clippers, I couldn't ask anything else from Steph Curry offensively there. But they still only won by 2 points. 2 points. Golden State as a team is cheeks. Like, they're terrible. Like, I watched Andrew Wiggins is either Kobe or, he's bad. He's either just Kobe or he's just, like, G League player.
Yeah.
And then you have Draymond Green, which, outside of scoring, he's pretty much good at everything else. But, right now, Steph Curry needs a second man to go to. And Draymond Green might get a layup every quarter. But, like, he's not going to be that offensive, like, threat. Like
he's not the offensive juggernaut, no.
Yeah, people were, like, guarding him like he was Ben Simmons. Like, he was just stepping up off of him, just trying to guard, like, the screens more than anything. And then, then it's rookies after that you have to rely on. Then again, what's his name? He's bench player.
Jordan Poole.
Guard Jordan Poole hooping.
He is balling.
I'll give him to that, but like outside of that, I don't think they're gonna get like a top 6 seed in the West.
Interesting take. Hot take there. Fair. So who do you have? Obviously, it's too early to say.
Okay.
Who do you have as your MVP for right now?
MVP right now, week 1 MVP.
Through three games in the NBA season.
Who's
your MVP? Who's your MVP?
That's a great question. That is a great question.
We can come back to it if you want.
Get back to me on that. I have to think
good.
because I really don't want to disrespect anybody.
No, you're good. So next we'll talk about, man, still staying in the NBA realm, because I love talking NBA with you, Joe. The Pacers, man.
Oh, man.
Struggling.
Bro, let me rant real quick, bro.
Talk to me.
So
get it out.
It's one of my biggest joys is watching Pacers basketball, right? That's the thing that got me into sports in general. My biggest pain is watching Pacers basketball on a consistent basis. Because I think I realized that I'm kind of like a Knicks fan to where, like, my entire mood is kind of determined on whether my sports team wins or not. Like, if you just come to me and I'm just in a bad mood, it's probably because the Pacers lost. It's not even probably. It is because the Pacers lost. And they've just struggled the first 2 games. I mean, game 1, I believe they faced the Wizards. Wizards game 1. Oh, no. That was game 2. But going back, Wizards game 2. They played a Bradley Beal-less Wizards team. Let Raul Neto just play like prime Michael Jordan against them. And then score, I believe, 20 or something, and then just absolutely just hooping. They couldn't guard anything. Kyle Kuzma was popping off. Every was popping off, and then they just end up losing that game in overtime. And then you go to game 1 to where they face the Hornets. The Hornets team is, again, a very nice team, but still they shouldn't be hooping that much against a Pacers team with that many veterans, that many, solidified players. And absolutely just go crazy in the third quarter. I believe the Pacers had a 23-point lead game 1 against the Hornets, and then they just gave it up in the span of like 5 minutes. It was absolutely terrible. They didn't score a point. And like they're relying on TJ McConnell threes to get them out of it, and that's definitely not how you get out of a lead. Trying to regain a lead. And then this Heat game, third game of the season for the Pacers, I'm like, I'm not watching this because I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm either going to get kicked out of my apartment because I'm screaming too loud, or, I'm going to have a heart attack and die. So I'm not going to watch this game. But eventually they win, and I saw the lead. I saw the lead by 10. I'm like, okay, they're just going to mess up this lead. That's fine. And then they just keep the lead. And then they just play really good basketball. And it's just like, of course, when I'm not watching, they start playing really good. But again, Malcolm Brogdon is a hooper. Domas Sabonis is playing really well. Miles Turner dropped 40. He dropped a 40-piece game 2. And, Chris Duarte. Chris Duarte is that dude.
He's that guy.
That dude. And if we go to top rookies, he's definitely one of them.
He's definitely in the top. He's up that echelon. Scotty Barnes as well.
Yeah.
Evan Mobley had a pretty solid game for the Cavs. Jalen Green had 30 points the other day.
He did. And he's kind of having, I feel like he's going to have, a Anthony Edwards type season.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have, performances where he just does some crazy athletic feats, just toast some NBA veteran, and then just going to be, on top of the world in the next game. He's going to shoot 3 for 18 or something like that.
I can see those struggles from him, especially playing in Houston with that young team.
Yeah, he has all the shots that he wants and he can get. It's kind of it's just gonna happen.
It's like he's in a position to just run and gun.
True.
And in a way, that's probably best for his growth and development, but it can also be detrimental if they don't check it.
I agree. I definitely agree. The coach has to be like, okay, Jalen, you can do whatever you feel like you can do on the basketball court,
right?
On NBA games, but just know, when you make that bad play, when you miss that pass, when you take that shot you shouldn't have, that, I'm a get on you about that. I'm gonna just probably probe you, just so he doesn't form bad habits here.
Right. Early. To check the bad habits. I agree. Mm-hmm. And lastly, last thing we're gonna talk about before we get off this NBA bus, the Lakers. Mm-hmm. Struggled in game 1.
Yeah.
Had a bit of a better showing in game 2. And ended up coming out with the dub in game 3 the other day. Carmelo Anthony moved into 9th all-time on the scoring list with 28 points. LeBron James had 30 in game 2. And Russell Westbrook has been struggling this entire time.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was worried about. with Russell Westbrook specifically, because it just feel like once we saw those preseason games where he just absolutely was terrible, just played bad defense, bad offense, turned over the ball, just didn't look like a good NBA player. Um, I was worried, and I was just like, okay, Russell Westbrook, what's going on? Reporters asked Russell Westbrook, what's going on? He just kind of shook it off like, oh, it's the preseason. Like, and then we go into the regular season, and then he's kind of playing the same way. It's not looking good, Christian.
I said this though.
Yeah, you did.
And so I don't think they're going to trade Russell Westbrook.
They're not.
But I can see it happening if his play doesn't pick up towards, I would say about mid-January, he's probably going to be on that trading block.
Who do you think? What do you think that does to Russell Westbrook's legacy if he gets traded from this Lakers team?
I think one, it takes a shot at his ego, and I think he's really going to have to, like, Russell Westbrook. I hate to say this, is going to turn into the Cam Newton of the NBA.
Yeah.
Where, because Cam Newton had reached this level of stardom and fame and respect and everything inside the NFL, he can never be a backup in the NFL. Like it's just never going to work.
It's not gonna
and so that's the same thing with Russell Westbrook. Like Russell Westbrook may never ever come off the bench. If he could check, I ain't gonna say I don't know if Russell Westbrook has an ego or not, but like if he can realize that like I'm probably better suited to come off the bench and run the second unit and be so much more dominant. This Lakers team would be unbeatable.
That would be so good. Just move probably like, I don't know, probably just have LeBron at the point and then just have
you put Kendrick Nunn in your starting lineup.
Okay, I can see that, yeah.
You put Russell Westbrook in the bench unit.
Mm-hmm.
And you let Russell Westbrook go to work.
Yeah. He would dominate. That's
because
easy 6-man. Easy.
Nobody on the team's second unit is stopping Russell Westbrook, first of all.
Yeah.
Two,
Ish Smith, I don't know.
He now has all the shooters to kick out to. So, like, on the second unit, like, let's keep it a buck. Like, you got Malik Monk. You got Kent Bazemore. Obviously, you're going to have Dwight Howard. If they start Avery Bradley will be there. So, like,
Ellington, yeah, he's a good shooter.
You have all the pieces to make this team flow, not only from a starting lineup perspective. Mm-hmm. So, like, your starting lineup, obviously, you're going to have Bron, AD out there. You can throw Carmelo in if you needed to.
Yeah.
And you can play with that. You can play with both of those lineups, but if you put Westbrook off the bench, like if he was the sixth man off the bench,
it's simple. It's simple because like one of the main problems that the Lakers had over the last couple of years he's been on the team is just once LeBron sits, the Lakers struggle.
Yeah.
Like they would go up by big, they would go up by 15 plus, and then he will come back in the game, and then they're only up by 5 or they're down by a couple points.
Yeah.
And Russell Westbrook would easily fix that issue completely.
100%.
He is the definition of a spark plug. He's going to come off the bench, have like a bunch of talent, a bunch of just energy and, effort. Hopefully he's not down after, getting benched.
Mm-hmm.
But, he comes off the bench, just dominates, does pretty much everything, LeBron would do. And then LeBron comes back and then, close out the game.
Right.
Win Lakers. You know what I mean? So that would be perfect.
Even then, though, at the end of the game, and we'll hop off this soapbox in a minute. Mm-hmm. Even then, at the end of the game, you could bring Westbrook in there with LeBron just for defensive purposes.
Truly. He's one of the best defensive point guards in the league. Just athletic, long energy, good lateral quickness.
Nobody's going to give you the hustle that Russell Westbrook's going to give you.
Indeed.
And so there's a lot to talk about, and we'll dive deeper into it as the season continues. We're only 3 games in so far. So everything we're saying is just early predictions of what we've seen based off of 3 games of the regular season and the preseason.
Yeah. Oh, back to what you were saying, MVP, Ja Morant. MVP.
Whoa.
That's not
from the guy that said you need to be a tall wing that plays defense.
Hey, Ja plays
and you
defense.
don't want to give it to Steph Curry?
No, I don't want to give it to Steph Curry. Listen. Ja Morant is a certified Bucky. He's gonna have a just fantastic season so far. Just from like an energy, he's like the Lamar Jackson of the NBA for me.
I see that.
Just because he's like, his energy just goes throughout the locker room, just, and then he just is athletic. He can give you a bucket. He's a competitor. And then again, he plays defense. If you're a competitor and you give effort on defense, pretty much anybody in the NBA can be a good defender if they give that energy, that effort on that side of the ball. And he does pretty much on the nightly basis. Even though he doesn't have the great physical tools to be a great defender, he can still not. You're not going to drop, a crazy amount of points on John Morant because he just has that, athletic, that energy, that effort. So I give it to Ja. He had a crazy game. I believe 40 points against the Lakers.
Yeah.
He's been hooping, so I have to give young cat his flowers.
Okay.
What's yours? I know you're gonna say. What you gonna say?
No, I'm not gonna say nothing. We're gonna move right into NFL.
Steph Curry.
Shout out to Steph Curry. But speaking about Lamar Jackson, that's the first game we're gonna hop into. The Bengals put up 41 on the Ravens, and it was a dominant game from Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase especially, he is the front runner for offensive rookie of the year.
Clear
I mean. Just looking at this box score from them two alone, it was ridiculous. Joe Burrow was 23 of 38 for 416 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he threw a pick, which hurt.
Yeah.
But then you had Jamar Chase on the other side of the ball, 8 receptions for 201 yards and a tutty. With his longest being that great, I think it was it was either a slant or a curl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was either a slant or a curl. I'm pretty sure it was a slant. That he caught, broke the tackles, spun out of the tackles, took off down the field for the touchdown.
He was gone. It was such a great show from him. If there was any question about if what Jamar Chase was doing was just okay, that's just the first couple of games, let's see what he does. I feel like this is certified. He's going to be great for this team. He's a great future piece. That Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase connection, like you were talking about, that is for real, a real thing. And then he's just going to continue to just dominate the league from a reception standpoint.
No, I definitely agree.
Fantastic
I think,
player.
he's going to crack the NFL top 100 after his rookie season.
Yes.
I'll say this, as long as he doesn't get injured or nothing major happens where he has significant drop off numbers. So let's just say next game he comes the next 2 or 3 games he comes out and only has 5 receptions for 55 yards.
Yeah.
Unless anything crazy like that happens, he's going to crack the NFL top 100 going into next season.
Yeah, I could see that especially. Again, just a fantastic show to watch.
And then on the other side of the ball, you had Lamar Jackson, 15 to 31 for 257 and then a touchdown. But it was the defense. It was honestly the defense that didn't show up for the Baltimore Ravens. And that was kind of sad to see. Marlon Humphreys got burned a lot.
He got cooked. Each time that I saw a Jamar Chase highlight, it's always Humphreys just getting smoked on the route, and then he takes it for an either 20+ yard reception or a touchdown. It's crazy.
And I hate to say this because I am a Ravens fan, but if Marcus Peters was there, I don't think this happens. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
Hey, listen, I would say that as well. For me,
and that's no shade to Marlon Humphreys because Marlon Humphreys is still one of the best cornerbacks in the league.
Yeah, for sure.
But if Marcus Peters is there, that's not happening.
Yeah, he's not getting through both of them. And for me, it kind of wasn't the Lamar Jackson's fault for me, just because he did his thing. If in the game he was trying his best. He was making a lot of really good throws. They were either just broken up by really good coverage. And just shout out to the Bengals defense. They forced, I think they had 4 sacks on Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay. And, the Bengals defense just showed up. They just played.
Showed up and showed out.
They played their tail off, and, with a poor offensive line coverage and, the secondary of the Bengals just having themselves a day. There wasn't really much Lamar Jackson could do. You know what I mean? Because once he kind of saw that, okay, I'm not going to be able to throw it, any real threats. And, the pocket keeps on collapsing. I'm forced to run. And then they just started stacking up, and that just kind of all she wrote once Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow just did their thing on the offensive side. That just kind of it just kind of escalated and spiraled out of control in the second half.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Moving on to the next game, the Patriots put up 54 points on the New York Jets. Obviously, probably the biggest thing from this game isn't even the points. Zach Wilson is out. They just returned. He's out for 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's definitely really bad. Again, 54 points is a lot, but still with the Jets, Zach Wilson, that definitely hurts, especially.
Because essentially he's supposed to be your franchise QB.
He is. Yeah.
And he's hurt, in his rookie season, 3 to 4 weeks, he's out. But looking at the stats for New England, like it was just a complete dominant game from them. Mac Jones, 24 of 36 for 307 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then you had Damian Harris on the ground, 14 carries for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. You had J.J. Taylor with 9 carries for 21 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. And so everybody got a touch of the rock. Brandon Bolden, Kendrick Bourne, Juanu Smith, Nelson Aguilar got a touchdown. Jacoby Myers had 5 receptions for 44 yards. Hunter Henry got a touchdown off 2 receptions for 23 yards. And so it was just a complete dominance game from the Patriots. Obviously, after Zach Wilson got hurt, he was 6 of 10 for 51 yards, so he wasn't doing that bad when he got hurt.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, Mac Jones kind of surprised me as one of the best rookies to come out and then just absolutely hoop. I mean, he just kind of did his thing.
But I think it's also the system.
Ooh, that's a whole. Oh, you about to go down the rabbit hole with this one.
I'm not though, because you got to think he came from Nick Saban, who I just go ahead and say it out loud. Like, he's probably the best college football coach we've ever seen.
Ever, yes.
And so you go to Bill Belichick, who is arguably the greatest NFL head coach we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Their systems are probably similar. If I'm not mistaken, either Belichick coached under Saban or Saban coached under Belichick. It's one of the two.
They do have a relationship. I forget which one.
I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. We'll talk about it next week as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you come from that same system, that same production, and you go into an offense in a system that's literally built for you because you've been coached like that for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like he got put in the best position of any of the quarterbacks in the draft class. He got put in the best position.
Yeah, I mean, this Patriots team already had kind of that foundation, like you said, and then you throw them into the mix. Great system and everything. I only said it was like a rabbit hole because we can just go into that whole Tom Brady, Belichick thing. But yeah, this is just a great, position to be in if you're Mac Jones. I don't think he's going to be top 3 or 4 in this class when it comes to QBs at the end of the day, when it's all said and done. Just because, again, he got put in a good situation. He doesn't really eye-popping, moves, throws, and stuff from him. For me at least.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think he's going to be that guy like that. I think it's probably going to go to either, Justin Fields, who, right now is looking a little rough. He kind of got torched by the Buccaneers. Not even kind of, he got torched by the Buccaneers. And then, again, Zach Wilson, like you said. But, Mac Jones, I'll give it to him. He's played the best out of any rookie so far.
No, I definitely agree with there. And so, moving on, kind of wrapping up some other things. The Cardinals, 7-0. And I'm gonna tie these 2 and 2 because the Cardinals QB is my MVP. Kyler Murray,
okay.
the kid is great, and obviously this game isn't really a big takeaway game because they played the Houston Texans and the Houston Texans suck.
Yeah.
But Kyler Murray finished 20 of 28 for 261 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. That's one thing I do hate about Kyler Murray is that he gets so many interceptions. Like,
yeah.
He's got to be just a little bit smarter with the ball, but. He spreads the rock. He does it effectively.
He does force a lot of things, though. I agree. He does force a lot of things. For me, I didn't think he was going to be this impactful of a quarterback. Coming out, out of draft. I didn't think he was going to be like this, but he's like that.
Yeah, he is like that.
He is like that, and he does his thing. He's quick. He's mobile. And, when you have scoring threats, out there and just a well-rounded team in general, like the Cardinals, I'm not surprised that they're 7-0 right now. But, again, Kyler Murray's playing his butt off. He obviously should get some MVP nods.
No, he definitely should. Then we'll talk about Carson Wentz leading the Colts to a 30-18 victory against San Francisco. This was interesting for me because Carson Wentz needed some bounce-back games.
Yeah, it was... I will say that I apologize. I definitely kind of overreacted with Carson Wentz. I thought this was going to be – I didn't think this was going to be a comeback or a bounce back because, frankly, he looked like baby got back because he looked like butt out there, in the first couple of showings. But now he's playing – I believe he threw at least 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was 17 to 26, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. But it was a combined effort from the Colts because you had Jonathan Taylor on the ground as well, 18 carries. 407 yards and a touchdown. You had the defense that played very well. holding this San Francisco team to only 18 points. You know, Jimmy Garoppolo struggled, 16 to 27. He had 181 yards, and then he had 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. So the defense, that Indianapolis defense stepped up. Xavier Rhodes had a pick, which was a crazy pick because he kind of like bounced off as a wide receiver, and he caught it. I seen now. I was like, dang.
Yeah, bro. He, like, especially Michael Pittman Jr.
Michael, he's looking like a real superstar.
Yeah, he's looking nice. He's looking really nice. And this Colts team they just picked it up. I mean, like, once I feel like I guess their problem was more chemistry and just finding themselves an identity. Because, you know, once they kind of got them reps under their belt and the games under the belt, they just started playing better and better each week. So, you know, shout out to them. They've just been doing their thing. It feels like, you know, even in press conferences and stuff, they've seemed like they just kind of have that kind of just like, you know, youthful spirit, that kind of just fun, new energy about them that has just been, I guess, been fueling them for like the entire, you know, season so far after they struggled in the beginning. So
yes, and I'm gonna say this last game we have on the list for last because I'm gonna talk about this Monday Night Football game first.
Okay.
We have the Saints versus the Seahawks, a matchup of the Heisman's. Gino Smith. Actually, Gino Smith didn't win a Heisman, did he?
I don't think so.
No, he didn't. He didn't. My bad.
No.
I'm thinking of RG3. Tripping.
Yeah.
But Gino Smith versus Jameis Winston. And it's going to be interesting because everybody knows I don't like Jameis Winston. I can't stand that guy. Like, he's...
Of course.
I
mean, I don't really understand it. I mean, for me, it just feels like Jameis Winston is, you know, he just struggles from time to time, but in general, he's at least a top 5 QB.
Top 5. I don't know. Top 5.
Yeah, at least.
I guess.
On a bad day.
I guess. Maybe when Aaron Rodgers has like a game 1, like if every time Aaron Rodgers has a game 1, yeah, I give James Winston top 5. Yeah, sure. But no, in this one they have the nod going to the Saints, 59% to 44%. No, I'm sorry, 59 to 30. I believe it's 39%.
You got this, bro.
I ain't gonna say a lot to you. It's been a long weekend. The math is not mathing up. You know.
Yeah, math ain't mathing.
The math ain't mathing. And so I kind of got the Saints in this as well. I don't think it's gonna be a struggle for Geno Smith, but I don't think he has enough to just pull it out against the Saints team who has been off and on this season, but they can get the ball rolling. They are 3-2, where the Seahawks are 2-4, especially with Russell Wilson being out. And so I think Geno Smith doesn't have enough to just pull it out.
Yeah.
Because of who the Saints are, but.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be an entertaining game. I feel like I really hope that Geno Smith pulls out a win here.
Okay.
Just because, one, just shout out to him, only rookie QB to beat Tom Brady. I just feel like after that struggle, after he fumbled that ball, after he kind of, you know, they're failing to kind of incorporate him, I feel like correctly into the offense. Even though he is a talented, he's probably, I would say that he's one of the best, you know, second string QBs in the NFL. So I feel like he can do his thing. I feel like if he pulls out a win, I feel like that would be a huge boost to his confidence, a huge boost for this Seahawks team, just to, like, you know, help them ride the wave until Russell Wilson hopefully comes back here soon. So I feel like that would be a great story. You know, I can see a really close game here. I can see this going to, like, you know, 33, you know, 28 type stuff.
And so talking about our last game, this one I talked about it because I think I'm over the hype train now.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs lost to Tennessee Titans, 27-3. And this game was rough. It was rough to watch. It's rough to listen to. It's rough to see. It's rough to hear.
Why do you sound so sad?
It's rough to talk about. Because Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent.
Is he?
And yes.
Is he?
I think he is.
Okay.
And
I'm just trying to start
his talent is being wasted in a certain regard because, one, the Kansas City defense is not good at all.
No.
They failed to protect him in the pocket. He has had wide receivers and tight ends drop passes this entire season.
True.
And he's trying to I hate to say he's trying to play hero ball, but he's trying to play hero ball.
He's trying to play hero ball. He's trying to play.
And it's not working because every defense in the NFL has figured him out after the 3 years of them running the same stuff.
Yes, I agree. For one, I feel like what he's doing now kind of just it's not really good for the offense because again, like you were saying, he was playing hero ball, and I don't feel like it really rests on the receivers. I completely just rested on him. Because again, you're the leader of this team. Putting up 3 points against a Titans who don't have a standout defense. They don't have a bad defense, but they shouldn't close out quote unquote baby goat for 3 points. He should definitely at least put up double digits against them. But again, he just hasn't looked good. It just feels like once he has that pocket protection, occasionally, because this is kind of the recipe how it goes. He'll have that pocket protection, and then he won't find stuff out there. And instead of just running it for a couple of yards or just trying to have a safe play, he'll just fling it over there he's down there somewhere, and then it'll be picked off or bobbled past and the interception or something like that.
See, I agree with that. I agree with that to a certain degree. But looking at the game, he finished 20 of 35 for 206 yards and an interception, right? But he also had 6 carries on the yard for 35 yards.
Yeah.
Which led the Kansas City rushing attack.
Mm-hmm.
And so, while I do agree that Patrick Mahomes, him just flinging it is not working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's not catching anybody off guard with the stuff he does. It's I hate to say this is not magic anymore, but
yeah.
he has to get more conventional or he has to figure out new ways of doing things. But his team isn't helping him out in any aspects or regards.
One, Kansas City's defense has always been kind of a question mark over the last couple of years. It's always, for the last, I would say, 1 to 2 years, they've been passable with a really good offense with Patrick Mahomes. I would say about 3 years ago, it was just obviously terrible. Now it's kind of just being more and more exposed that their defense isn't good just because the offense isn't going. And that just kind of again, falls back on, the offense here. And I just feel like you have weapons if you're, Patrick Mahomes. It's not like you don't have weapons. And they're all, solid NFL players. So I'm not trying to get it twisted, but still, it just feels like this is more of a, this might come out to a head coach thing. Reed might need to just change it up, just kind of, add more just, unconventional plays or just run new stuff because, again, like you were saying, they're figuring them out.
Yeah. And so that's going to be it for Sports Extra today. We ended up just a slight bit early. It's 56, so we're going to go ahead and cut out today. I mean, it's been a great homecoming talk, been a great homecoming weekend. I'm a little tired myself. That's why I'm kind of ending it early today. I'm saying definitely on the road to recovery. Shout out to Homecoming 2021. Definitely one for the ages. Return of the Legends, and we went out like legends.
Yes, sir.
But you're listening to Sports Extra on Z90.7 WZIS. Thank you all for tuning in this Monday. We'll be back next Monday to talk about more NFL, NBA, ISU football, and basketball because basketball season is starting off.
Yes,
and we love to see it. So thank you all for listening. I've been Christian Hill. My co-host with me,
Joseph Moore.
And man, y'all stay tuned. Y'all stay blessed. And y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day and the rest of y'all lives because it is Monday, October 25th.
Oh, yeah.
And next week is November, baby.
Man.
Shout out to you all. Shout out to WZS, our station right here where you listen every Monday. And I hope you listen all week long. Z90.7 WZS. We'll catch you guys later.
All right.
It's finally sweater weather. Keep warm and stay tuned here on Z90.